What's going on, everyone? I hope you've all been well. I'm back here to talk about the Lamborghini Countach LP400. This car made its first appearance at the Geneva Motor Show over 50 years ago in 1971, but it would take another 3 years for the Countach to be available on the market. This was mainly due to issues with the engine overheating. To solve this problem, the radiators were repositioned in a vertical fashion, which would require the implementation of these raised vents. The original concept was more of a flush design, like you see in this picture, but the vents were a welcome change to the design and definitely gave it some added character. Once the radiator problem was solved, cooling issues for the Countach became a thing of the past, and it was ready to be put into production. Right at this time, however, in March of 1974, just before the Countach was released to the public, the founder of the company, Ferruccio Lamborghini, sold his remaining shares in the company. This was mainly due to a lot of personal frustration with union strikes and failing industrial relations at the time, and this was also only 11 years after he founded the company and before Lamborghini would gain the reputation that it has today. The name of this car is one of those things that's always intrigued me, but I've never really thought to look it up until the making of this video. I always just kind of assumed it was an Italian word, since Lamborghini is an Italian company, but that's actually not the case. I found a story on Lamborghini's official website, which I'll read to you in a second, quoted directly from Marcello Gandini, the designer of the Countach. When we made cars for the car shows, we worked at night and we were all tired, so we would joke around to keep our morale up. There was a profiler working with us who made the locks. He was 2 meters tall with 2 enormous hands, and he performed all the little jobs. He spoke almost only Piedmontese, didn't even speak Italian. Piedmontese is much different from Italian and sounds like French. One of his most frequent exclamations was Countach, which literally means plague, contagion, and is actually used more to express amazement or even admiration, like goodness. He had this habit. When we were working at night, to keep our morale up, there was a jousting spirit, so I said we could call it Countach, just as a joke, to say an exaggerated quip without any conviction. There nearby was Bob Wallace, who assembled the mechanics. We always made the cars operational. At that time, you could even roll into the car shows with the car running, which was marvelous. So jokingly, I asked Bob Wallace how it sounded to an Anglo-Saxon ear. He said it in his own way, strangely. It worked. We immediately came up with the writing and stuck it on. So sorry that's kind of long, but I thought it was a neat little story. And as far as the second half of the name goes, LP400, the LP is referencing the positioning of the engine, longitudinal posterior, or long ways in the back, and 400 was just rounding up, referencing the 3.9 liter engine. And speaking of the engine, even though it's from the 70s, this proved to be a very reliable V12, which was naturally aspirated with around 370 horsepower, which by today's standards is about as much as a high-end Japanese hatchback. Various iterations of this engine were used throughout the years. It was the workhorse behind such cars as the iconic 1990 Diablo and the 2001 Murcielago. It lasted so many years that the Lamborghini V12 wasn't truly replaced until 2011 with the release of the Aventador. And I just have to say, look at this interior. Like, I'm always impressed with the Tomica cars, but this is just a whole different level. I didn't even know the doors opened until I pulled it out of the box and I was like, what the heck? The back opens up as well, so you can see the engine, but I actually didn't get any pictures of that feature because it's really hard to get it to stay propped open. I really enjoyed the packaging on these. I was really impressed with it, and I really love the official Lamborghini hologram sticker on the back. I just thought it was a really nice touch. There's quite a bit more that can be said about the Countach, but Tomica is releasing 2 more versions of this car over the next 3 months, one in red and one in green, so at some point I'll make a part 2 for this video and go over some more information at that time, and I'll also find a way to keep the back propped open because the engine is just as detailed as the rest of the car, and I think it's worth checking out. I'm hoping to release the next video in a week or so, but I haven't decided what it'll be about yet. I have a few things in mind, but alright, that's gonna do it for this one. So thanks for watching, and subscribe if you feel like it. Thanks.